I'd sit and watch that video of that Robert Greene fellow who wrote that book about, you know, manipulation and stuff. It's like, you believe money's real? Okay. Isn't that the first manipulation if you understand forgive debt and trespass, love one another, eternal faithful peace? The first manipulation is acceptance of debt and trespass through delusions of human power and authority. So the moment you understand manipulation is the moment you free yourself from manipulation, like Leo said. When I was talking to him at RV, Louis said, and I sit there and he goes, "That's freedom." I go, "Yeah." The moment you realize that the soul is the essence of glory in all of us, it's freedom from all delusions of human power and authority that oppress you. So freedom is a personal. A lot of people talked about that yesterday at Walmart. Freedom is a personal decision. Okay. At Lowe's, when I talked to that one man about it, and he was beautiful. Yeah, he sat there, and then the father and son we talked to after that. I sat there and I said, I told him the Buddhist parable about, Master, how do I seek liberation? And then the Master, what binds you? Okay. Jesus was free on the cross of Roman crucifixion. They asked him, where's your heaven? I'm there now. I have refused to assign the spirit to the body and refused to accept this abuse of these horrible people as my sentence, as my, I am free because I understand that the spirit is provided by the glory of God and that it cannot be trapped by the vanity of human beings in this mind and this body. So you are only as, trapped or free. The moment you assign the soul to this body and fight like hell for this body and everything you think this body owns is the moment you choose to forsake freedom for the selfish delusions of human grandeur and power. Okay. So you got to understand, when you self-evaluate, okay, you got to understand that the soul, the glory of God, is the essence of the body. And if you try to trap the soul in the mind, you will fight like hell over everything the mind perceives that it needs to exist. Okay. But if you understand the freedom, okay, that we're all given life by the glory of God, and that we all deserve freedom from delusions of human manipulation and authority, and the first person you deserve freedom from is yourself, if you're a manipulator. So when he wrote that book and that long chapter on narcissism, he's still stuck in that chapter, and so is the young man with the British accent. Right? And people like a British accent. British accents, they sound very, every time you get, Jesus movies, they all talk with a British accent, right? When you get a documentary, and then the animals went and, so if you talk with a British accent, okay, that is very, aristocratic, we're not talking a British accent like in its bloody, brilliant, talking about that British accent. We're not talking about a pauper's accent. We're talking about an aristocratic British accent, Quite, really, actually, yes. Okay, you're talking about an aristocratic British accent. It's considered by most monetary manipulative Indo-Europeans as the most intelligent way of speaking in the entire world. Verily, sooth though I say unto you, that the most proper way into which and there's because of monetary dominance and manipulation of the UK for a long time, and then their descendants, being manipulatively, I want to say dominant, manipulative. You want to say dominant, dominant, to dominate. That's a loaded word. That's a word that, to dominate. When I played basketball, I was that way. I was the type of person, when I played with Danny and those guys at the, Bustin' Loose and Casper, I learned that right away, that, you don't give them any hope that they're going to win. You go from tip to buzzer, just step on the neck and just, you ain't going to even, it's going to be 120 to 29, because that's what we used to do to people. We just beat them insidiously. because it was basketball. And I was always that way when I played basketball after that. That's one thing I learned from Danny, who was a pimp and a drug dealer, that, that to survive in the streets of Chicago and Denver and Casper, that you couldn't let the other person get up and give them any hope of taking your spot and taking care of what you need to take care of. Get your exercise, get your bacon, get your food, get it home, get it to your wife. Yeah, well, he's got to eat too. Yeah, but he'll do it next week. He ain't doing it this week against us. Right? And that was, the basketball mentality. That's why I dropped out of basketball. That's why I quit playing. Because I understood on a subconscious level that the Lord's Prayer is perfect. And, no, when I play basketball, and it's for, we're going to win the last game of the year. Oh, I'm going to beat you, Moses Malone, fo. I ain't going to give you, you giving them that one? No. 4 games, I get my money, I go home, I love my wife and kids. Next year, I'll retire in 4 years, and then they can win. Then the ground child, his birthday will be in play, right? That was just me psychologically during my biological conditioning and training of American dreams and delusions of grandeur and how to survive this insidiousness. And I kept separating myself from it intellectually because of who I am. I'm the spirit of King David, the spirit of Jesus of Nazareth, the real man, not the Roman war god of mythology and comic book sales. So, I am the spirit of Jesus, a man who's a perfect father, who can explain to you the humble perfection of the faith of Adam and Noah and Moses and David and, stuff, and can take rabbinic religion, and explain it to you in pragmatic reality of eternal, humble understanding of faith and infinite glory. Okay, so you're talking about a human being. I'm the 1322nd Redeemer of Muslim prophecy, meaning he comes and he redeems the truth of the real gospels through real people, that he's not a myth. And I thanked a family, a Muslim family from Africa the other day at the store, and, told them, as I've explained to Isaac and Jordy and the others, you guys do understand that we're the Holy Family, and that the Muslims for thousands of years have been playing prostate so they don't look up at the sky and get deluded that the people with the satellites are going to help them live the Lord's Prayer, right? That's why Muslims pray prostrate to the ground. They don't look up at the sky and go, God, Lord, Jesus, save us. They don't do that. They are taught to get prostrate on the ground, humble yourself before the Spirit of Jesus, and ask to help him help you stand up for us to all live the Lord's Prayer. Most people don't understand that's what's happening when they go on the high-class, low-cost Hajj, and they go all around that building, and they go there because the hypocrites say so, because we need your compliance to mass murder people for petroleum products. They don't understand the descendants of Abu Lahab. I do. They've been watching me my whole life with their business partners in the Mormon Church, the Vatican, Scientology, the Pentagon, so on and so forth. So I understand Abu Lahab and his wife's better than him and his wife's understand themselves. The Real Housewives of Dubai, it's like, I saw you coming like 10,000 years away. And, I love you. I just don't trust you. And, my love is unconditional. My trust has to be earned. And so if you want to be a part of the kingdom of heaven, you're going to stand up and be worthy of my trust and start spreading the Lord's Prayer with your technology now. Okay? You can't wait another minute, another second. You have to do it now. And that was my response yesterday on the Fox News feed with Tom Holman, the border czar. You don't have time to, people are being murdered every day because of your delusions of grandeur and power through money and manipulation through technology. And you don't have time to wait to save yourself from your sin. It's happening right now. It's an active interactive. I'm going to say a process, because it's not a process. It's a brain chemical addiction that needs to stop now. If you say you really are emotional and you really love children and you want to keep children safe from genocide, you want to keep children safe from genocide in Juarez as much as you do in El Paso, in Tampico as much as you do in Corpus Christi, in Monterrey as much as you do in Jackson, Lake Jackson, right? Okay. But in the United States of America, they mass murder people in Lake Jackson near the factories and in Humble near the airport. So people can have the best organic farms and the best chemtrails in the history of hospital administrator money making off of people's mass genocide. So you got to understand manipulation real well. You got to. The Messiah is a very intelligent person. He's very humble, but he has the best forms of humble, faithful, reliable communication in the world because people understand who he is and they talk to him. D.T. Suzuki talks to me. Sun Yat-sen talks to me. Haile Selassie talks to me. You know, and I know who they are and they know who I am, and we have humble communications when we need to. And the one that's helping me the most, D.T. Suzuki. You know, he read Revelation shortly after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and he focused on that kid born in Las Cruces, New Mexico. You know, he's going to be born outside the Trinity site, where they mass murdered the Tularosans and the people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So Suzuki knew this. But he also knew when he connected to me in prayer that he was going to pass away a week before I was even born. He just focused on that little boy. He just knew. He was looking at certain patterns and behaviors in the stories, and then he meditated, and okay, when's this little guy going to be born? He knew exactly. He never said anything to anybody. He just sat in quiet meditation and talked to me every day in his mind. And they didn't have Wi-Fi technology to try to monitor his brain activity to see what he was doing. He's an absolutely gorgeous man. If you love Jesus, you love D.T. Suzuki as much as you love Jesus. If you don't love D.T. Suzuki as much as you love Jesus, you don't love Jesus. Okay? In order to love like Jesus, you have to be like Jesus. And D.T. Suzuki is like me. Okay? Do you understand? All right, you better, because life's eternal, grace is infinite, and the spirit of Earl and the spirit of D.C. Suzuki ain't going nowhere, and you're trapped in your egos and your technology. You can put your brain on a robot, but it's not going to make your brain as beautiful as the brain that has a free soul, has the free soul operating it in this noggin, right? Okay, I love you guys, all right? Hang in there. Let's see how quickly this one loads, and let's keep working on that AGI to make it actually intelligent instead of artificial. Okay, love you.